Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Unfiltered with Bridget.
And Angie.
Today, I think we're going to talk a little bit about why you should be choosy when choosing a realtor.
Oh, choosy. I like it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So please tell me, what has happened recently that makes you want to talk about this topic?
Oh, where do I start?
Life moment.
Exactly, for sure. I mean, anytime you work with somebody in the trades, you should always interview, ask questions.
Right.
One topic that I really want to hit on is that a lot of first-time home buyers don't know, or buyers that haven't bought in a long time and now are just re-entering the market, they don't know how things have changed. For example, obviously the NAR, put into place that in order to show a home, you have to sign a buyer agency agreement or you have to sign a pre-agency agreement. It's something I hate asking clients, buyers to do like right away before even meeting, like, hey, sorry to tell you this, but you have to sign something. Buyer agency, if you sign that, that allows your agent to negotiate, talk price, talk about, a lot of stuff. So it gives you, all the fiduciary rights and stuff. Pre-agency is basically, I just get to open the door with a smile and stand there.
Right. Here's the house.
Exactly.
I'll be over here.
Exactly. Yes. So those are the two different. So, if your agent reaches out saying, hey, I need you to sign either a buyer agency or I need you to sign a pre-buyer agency. Unfortunately, you have to sign one now in order to see a house.
Because if you get audited too, like that's a fine if you don't do it. Like it's not, we should really do it. You have to do this.
Yeah. It's something.
It's like almost like a compliance
correct
thing.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So we have come now to that. And I've had a buyer where I told him that he had to sign one. He refused. I don't know what he's doing now, but
right.
The other thing that is huge when you are working, or shall I say looking for an agent, make sure you ask about their fees. As a buyer, what are my fees that I'm going to have to pay at closing? Or what are my fees I'm going to have to pay up front? Because they're popping up.
Yeah, and I don't think buyers ask that question because it's more or less they're worried about the fees on the lender side, like on the loan side.
Correct. Yep.
They don't really think about fees when it comes to their agent. But I do get questions from buyers saying, "Hey, who pays my agent?" Typically, it comes, from the seller side of it, but not always.
Correct. Yeah, it used to, as they say, there's no standard because there isn't, but it used to be back. It was the standard that the seller covered the buyer's agent fees.
Right. Yes.
And now since the NAR changed all of that, now it is more negotiable than ever, which I do think is good. It's great. So, ask that question like, hey, if the seller isn't covering your fees, then what? Your agent, if they're a good agent, they'll be honest and open, and explain everything to you in great detail. And then there's, as you know, ways around it if a buyer can't afford to cover their buyer's agent fees.
Yeah, it's like if your agent requires this amount and the seller only pays X amount, there's a gap. Someone's got to fill that gap.
Correct.
Basically. Yep. Is what's happening. Only with some agents though. Not all agents have those rules, so it really depends on who you work with, basically. So the waters are very muddy when it comes to navigating that part of it. That's why it's important to ask this part, because you don't want to get blindsided. Imagine being blindsided and say, okay, now you owe your agent $3,000. Like, First-time home buyers don't have an extra $3,000 laying around.
No.
Even second-time home buyers don't. I mean, sometimes people don't have the extra money laying around.
Right,
Or it's
exactly.
earmarked for something else.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep, absolutely. So choosing a realtor really does matter.
Yeah.
So buyers out there really need to start asking some very serious questions, so they aren't blindsided. And I'm going to put that point out there again. Choose local. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Choose local. I have just had on a transaction.
Story time.
Yes, story time.
Get your tea ready.
Exactly. Yes, because it seems to be a very hot button issue for me, as well as it was to my sellers.
Mhm.
They were offended. They were upset, and rightfully so. Some agents out there have what is called transaction fees. Okay. So what that means is that the transaction fee, there's a couple different options. You can have your buyer pay it if you're a buyer's agent. You can have the seller pay it, even if you're a buyer's agent.
So you're the seller were to pay the buyer's transaction fee. Okay.
Yep. Or you as the agent can cover it yourself. And that is the one that I highly recommend. And I can speak on this. I used to work for a company that had transaction fees. You know, there was a $150 buyer agency fee that got paid from, paid from the buyer at closing to my company. There was also a transaction fee for me to list your house for sale.
Oh, so there's a difference.
Yep, there is. And when I inquired about what is the transaction fee, there was no real great answer. So
it doesn't tell you what the fee actually goes towards. It's just a fee that you have to pay. Interesting.
Yeah. So how do I then now tell my seller, tell my buyer, well, this is the transaction fee. Well, what's the transaction fee for?
For the transaction.
So yeah, for us to
Obviously.
babysit the transaction.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it as, isn't that kind of what the sellers are already paying when it comes to closing fees as far as like commissions and things like that? So I would never impose those onto my buyers or my sellers. I would pay them myself out of pocket because I chose to work for that company. So therefore, it's on me. And I never ever charged a buyer or a seller for that. But I'm seeing companies that are writing offers on properties and they are putting their transaction fee in the offer. They are making, we'll just say, my seller, depending, pay their transaction fee. And when my buyer seen that,
your seller,
they get confused.
Yes, there's a lot going on right now.
When my seller reviewed the offer and seen that, they were very upset. They were like, we don't want to go with this. This is not, no, absolutely not. And granted, it wasn't a huge amount.
I still think it's a principle of the matter.
That is exactly what they said. It was the principle of, it's like just a simple fact. They're like, we didn't choose to work with that realtor. So why are we paying their fee?
And your seller's already agreed to pay commission to the selling agent or
Correct.
buyer, whatever,
the buyer's
you want
agent, whatever you want to call it. Selling agent, buyer's agent.
Same thing. But so they've already agreed to pay commission to them. Now they want more money from the seller who already, and they have their own closing costs on top of the commission. Like, it's not free to sell your house. They already have their own fees they need to take care of on top of commissions. To the
Correct. Yeah. I can tell you all the not local agents, and I think any local agent here around Beaver Dam, Dodge County will say, if your offer comes in with higher fees, transaction fees, whatever it may be, your offer is going to probably get rejected, especially if we have another offer that does not have that.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to if you have buyer agency, are you really looking out for your buyer or are you looking out for your own pocket?
Yeah. Now, if somebody does sign up by agency and then they realize, oh crap, like they are going to charge me, that transaction fee of $500, and then, they have to make X amount on a loan, regardless of what the seller covers. Can they cancel that contract, or is it legally binding, like an offer to purchase, where you have to have cause to cancel?
Yeah, no, you can cancel it. You can do a cancellation mutual release.
So they're not
that signed.
Not committed to you, where they get charged a fee if they were to cancel that contract.
Well, I shouldn't say that for sure, because there is a section in there that says that the buyer may still owe a fee, because you can put that in there
for your gas and time and everything, probably.
Yeah. So I don't, buyer agencies, I don't have fees in there unless the seller doesn't cover. But then I always say, we will talk before that happens, and we'll figure out what is best for you guys. So,
right.
Yep. So if you're, I'm sorry, it is such a hot button issue for me right now, because I didn't choose to work for your company. My seller didn't choose to hire you. Don't impose your fees onto my seller.
Right. I mean, that makes sense.
Like, what are you doing? And you shouldn't even be charging your buyer those fees because you chose to work for that company.
Right. But if your buyer understands, then it should be the buyer's responsibility then to cover that fee, and not the selling.
Correct.
Sellers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I cannot stress enough to all you buyers and you sellers out there, use local. I have been selling and buying in Dodge County for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I can assure you, I never paid a transaction fee anytime I bought or sold. I can tell you currently that most of the agents I work with around here do not have those fees.
Yeah. I have seen it a couple of times on offers that come in, but if there is a fee, it's paid by the buyer. It's added to the buyer's fees.
Yes. So buyers, sellers, ask the questions. What fees do I, as a buyer, have to pay?
Yeah. It's important to understand your out of pocket, because then you have your earnest money, you have your down payment, closing costs. Now you may have, agent costs. So there's things that factor in when you're creating a budget on what is this going to cost me in the end.
Right.
It's really important to understand that.
Right.
And then if we need to get creative, we can get creative. We can find ways to make things work if your pocketbook just won't stretch that far. If you need to do some creative financing options, we have solutions.
Right.
If all parties agree, it's not like, oh, let's just do this. Yeah. Like, we have to, everybody has to agree. But usually most people, especially when you have an offer on a house, everybody wants everything to go through. So they're going to be willing to negotiate within reason. You can't come in, stopping and be like, I want this, and then throw a tantrum when you don't get your way. Like, that's not how this works.
No. Buying and selling a house, parties have to come together. They have to want to work together in order to make the transaction successful. Same with agents. Agents need to work with other agents and, as they say, play nice in the sand to make a transaction work as well.
Well, be respectful.
Correct.
I mean, Absolutely. It's as simple as that. It's not like this far out like method that you just be respectful of other people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's not that complicated.
No, it's not. No, absolutely not. So yeah, I just cannot stress that enough. Like, and Edwin, don't forget, like, buyers even have to pay the appraisal fee.
Mm-hmm.
How about if they do a home inspection?
Yep.
How about if the house is in the country and they have to do a well and septic inspection? Like, there are fees, and buyers need to start asking. And if your agent is a good agent and is looking out for you, they will explain those fees, and they will be open, and they'll be honest. So
that's what you want. You want open and honest. You don't want anything hidden behind the curtain because everything will come to light at closing. Because when you get to close and you get two closing disclosures, you get one from the lender. If you use, like, it's a cash price typically, you get one from the lender and then one from title. They're the exact same thing, but they're visually different.
Mhm.
In my opinion, title ones are way easier to read than the lighter
Yes,
ones. I
that's true.
prefer their, but they say the exact same thing,
Correct.
but how they break it down. But either way, those fees don't just go away. You have to disclose them on
Mhm.
there. Like every fee charged in the transaction from the beginning to the very end, everything is on there.
Mhm.
So you can't say, well, I didn't know, and get the wool pulled over your eyes. Like everything comes to light in the end. And the last thing you want is for it to come to light right before closing and you get your initial disclosure like, wait, what are all these fees?
Mhm. Or how about you write an offer on a property and your buyer's agent submits, these fees on the offer expecting the seller to pay it. And the seller's like, oh no, I already have agreed to do this. Now you want this. Now you have to go back and you have to explain that to your buyer. Like,
Yeah.
I need more money from you. Like,
What a horrible thing to have to say.
it
Like,
is. It is. It's absolutely horrible. And then they expect like first time home buyers to pay all these fees. Like, aren't you supposed to be looking out for your client? Isn't that why they signed buyer agency with you?
yeah. And then they feel blindsided and then they don't know what to do. And then they get like that paralysis, like,
Sure.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like if you as an agent can explain to your borrower or your buyer, like what these mean,
Mm-hmm.
like that's the biggest thing is I feel like a lot of people are more understanding if you can explain to them
Correct.
exactly what it is. Like, oh no, this is your problem. Like, why is this my problem? Like, I don't understand why I have to pay this.
Yeah. I mean, you need to set expectations.
Yeah.
If you're going to charge an additional fee other than what the seller is paying, if you're going to charge transaction fees as a buyer's agent, you need to be talking to your buyer ahead of time to say, listen, this is what my fees are. We're going to try to get the seller to pay them, but if the seller doesn't, it comes onto you. And I can assure you, any agent around here is not going to pay your transaction fee.
Right.
Our sellers didn't choose to work with you.
Right.
They chose to work with me, us, who doesn't have transaction fees. So don't expect.
Or even if you did, your seller's already paying one for you.
That I mean, too. Yeah, exactly.
What if you did have one, your seller's already paying one? So then you're like, okay, well then I'll pay your buyer, you pay the seller transaction fee. Like,
exactly.
what if they'll be like, you know what? Forget it. You can pay my fee instead. Like, if you flip the roles, like people are so okay with asking sellers for money. Mm-hmm. Like they're like this. Okay, well you're selling a house, you must have a lot of money. Can I have all this money? Like, no. Yeah. This is all their hard-earned equity they have in this house. You don't want to insult people. Right. If you're going to ask for money, then get creative on how you put your offer in. Mm-hmm. At that point, I would assume. I mean, I'm not a realtor, but I would assume you would. Yes. You don't want to insult the seller.
Yeah. No, and those transaction fees written in, they do.
Yeah.
And like directly from my sellers, they were mad. They said a few cuss words. And they said, if we had another offer on the table in front of us, we would immediately reject that offer.
Yeah. But you can counter it off, right?
Yes.
So you can be like, we accept without, line 4 or whatever.
Yep.
You can.
Yeah, we countered it out. But then, the agent came back saying, well, my sellers or my buyers didn't expect to have to pay this.
Did you not prepare them for it?
Did you not set expectations? Did you not talk to them up front about your fees? Like it just, I left a company that had these fees because I didn't feel right charging them. I don't charge them. Like I got into real estate to help people.
Right.
Okay. I'm not in it to charge fees. Like, I'm sorry. That's just one thing that really, really grinds my gears is because I try to help people and I care about you as my client. You sign a buyer agency with me. I got your back. I'm not going to impose all these fees unless they're talked about up front. Like, come on, agents.
I think what separates like local, is going to be maybe that is standard in their market. And you don't know that. So maybe an agent coming from a different market into a market that you know a lot about, maybe that's standard for them. And that's also where things can get muddy, because every market is going to be different.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I can't stress enough. If you live in Madison, you live in Milwaukee, you live in wherever, the bigger cities, and you want to buy a house here in Dodge County, talk to a Dodge County agent.
Or even Fond du Lac County. I mean, I feel like metro versus, I don't want to say country, rural. Metro versus rural is going to be, those markets operate very differently.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, it's just how it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you are, agent from a bigger area and you have a buyer for this area and you want to help them buy a house, maybe call an agent and say, hey, what kind of goes on in your area? Can you give me a little bit of insight and stuff? So that way you don't upset a seller.
Yeah, do your research. Or ask questions. Right. I mean, most agents would be willing to help, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think we have, some pretty decent agents here in Dodge County. And it's not COVID time anymore. Sellers aren't going to pay anything. Now we're getting down to real estate where you have to know what you're doing. You should know the market you're buying or selling in. Just make sure you know what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, I could complain about these transaction fees all day and how I think it's greedy for an agent to make a seller or a buyer pay for it because you chose to work for that company.
And there's a ton of companies out there to choose from.
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton. I mean, I think in Dodge County, no, I think it was Beaver Dam. There's 13 agents in our small little area.
Probably Beaver Dam. That seems small for Dodge County.
Yeah.
Dodge County has more than
I think it was Beaver Dam.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 agents. Yeah. So do your research, people.
Yeah.
Please. Please, please, please.
Yeah, whether you're a buyer or a seller, research matters.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't have to pay any extra fees.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could talk about this forever. It's just such a hot button issue. So, I mean, we can talk about something else because.
Well, thanks for coming to our TED Talk today on why we don't pay fees.
Why interviewing a bunch of agents matters.
Yeah.
We're talking about what they charge.
Yeah, well, and that kind of goes on to the roots of our podcast, though, and is basically educating people on the process because a lot of these things aren't talked about. So I think bringing awareness to this takes away some of the fear of the unknown. They know, so when a buyer goes in, they feel more prepared to ask those questions. Because a lot of times they don't even think to ask those questions. Or let's say mom and dad are helping them buy a house. Well, if mom and dad bought a house 20 years ago, a lot has changed with how realtors, how agencies work, how realtors work. It's not the same as it was 20 years ago.
No.
So these are things that not many people even think to ask. So that's kind of what it boils down to is this is happening here and now. This affects buyers and sellers right now.
Absolutely.
So even though it might be a little bit of a rant, I think it's important to understand, this is a real thing and the questions to ask. So when you do find an agent, whoever you choose to use, you feel more prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it is, real estate is so different from 10 years ago. Even
5 years ago.
5 years ago. Yes. Absolutely.
This is not the COVID market anymore, and people need to get out of that mindset. That's a whole other rampage. I'm sure.
No,
but this is not COVID anymore. This is not 2020, 2021. No. We're not in those. So the market has changed a lot in the past 5 years. Yeah. It changed a lot in the past 6 months. Let's be real.
Sure. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it's never the same. It's always changing, which is what makes our job exciting because it's never. Each day is different.
Yeah.
Everything. It's always different. So.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I like change. I like adapting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't adapt to the changes, you're going to be stuck in the times.
Right. Absolutely.
And then you're going to get left in the dust.
Yep. And I love getting creative when, fighting for my clients.
We would use Muse and Lender and we get creative together.
Yes. And then I'm like, okay, Angie, I got a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Will it work?
Yeah, let's figure out ways to get creative and, as long as all parties agree, Yeah,
I that's what I love about my job, being an agent, is being creative.
Yeah.
Thinking outside of the box. I don't have to follow, corporate rules. Yes, there's something.
You have laws you got to follow.
Correct. There's laws we have to follow, but there's no company that's saying you have to do this, you have to do that.
Like you don't got, your boss over your shoulder, like you need to do this and this. Like you have the freedom to create your own business, kind of.
And then, be creative with deals that need creativity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's the part of my job that I absolutely love. I love to educate them. So like when I get a buyer, I'm like, ask me any question. I don't care if you asked it 20 times. Ask it again.
All the questions.
Exactly.
Please.
Like I want to educate you enough to where you go through the process and you're like, yeah, I knew what I was doing the whole time. Like when they're done, they're like, it was stressful, but I knew every step of the way what was going to happen. Same goes for sellers. Ask.
Yeah.
Happy to help. I love to educate and I love to fight for my clients. And I don't charge extra fees.
This kind of goes back to, I don't forget when it was, but a lot of people think that being a realtor is like the easiest job because you make bank. Yeah. Like, oh, look at that commission check you got at closing. All you do is open a door and sign some papers. Like that just drives me nuts. Like, and I'm not even a realtor. Like it's like but they don't understand what happens in the background. And I think we should do an episode that kind of talks about what you do.
Yeah.
As an agent, like you don't just unlock a door, write a contract, and say, "Okay, well, thanks for my money." There's so much more involved in that, and I just find it because during COVID we saw a huge influx in realtors, and a huge influx in lenders. It was like, "Oh, it's easy money." We're making bank because the rates are 2.8. We can house our son for 50 grand over asking. So this is the best market ever. Well, guess what? It didn't last. No, so now guess what? No. They're all gone.
Exactly.
Like we've lost like over half of the lenders, that are licensed in the state of of the U.S., which say not in Wisconsin, but in the U.S. Like we've lost a vast majority of lenders across the country. I'm sure you guys have lost a lot of agents because when the market slows down, the people that are in it for a quick money grab are gone.
Correct.
Yeah. And that I think is important to understand too when you're interviewing your agents and your lenders. If we've been in the market prior to 2020, we've been through all of it. I mean, a lot of that. I was in like 08 when all that kind of went down.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
I got in 2015, but I mean, we've been through a lot, and so it means that you're tried and true, and you're in it more for the people than you are for the huge cash grab, as people would say it
That's
is.
exactly it. Yeah.
We see comments about that. When people post on Facebook, I'm going to do it for sub-owner because I don't want to pay realtor because they take all this money and they didn't do anything, and I just think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. Like, I agree. Anybody could have sold real estate during COVID.
Absolutely.
Because sellers were taking whatever. They weren't challenging anything. And buyers were, throwing loads of money at sellers.
We're writing interest rates that are insanely low.
Exactly. There were no inspections. There were,
there were paper inspections.
Appraisal gaps. There were coverages in there for the appraisal. Like it was insane. So yeah, anybody could have, sold something.
Yeah.
So, but no.
Yeah, I think we should do an episode that talks about what happens behind the scenes because there's a lot more involved. Yeah. Even if you are a buyer's agent or a listing agent, there's a ton involved in the behind the scenes stuff that kind of show us like what agents go through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do a day in the life.
Yeah, get ready for that one. That one might be a snooze fest.
Right. Well, you never know.
Yeah, there's a lot that an agent does, and we don't just open the door and sign here, sign there, and our day is done.
Yeah.
And our day is done. Yeah. No, nowadays, now that COVID's over, agents need to know a lot. They need to know how to navigate this new territory that we're in right now. So again, another thing, like, you just pointed out, ask when your agent got in,
Like how long have you been in the business?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I did join, let's say I started my real estate in 2018, I think, middle of 2018, beginning. And then
April, wasn't it?
Well, no, I got my license in April of 2019 because I dragged my feet so much because I was a little unsure. And yeah,
Gotcha.
So yeah, I entered right before all the COVID stuff went insane.
But you've made it through when everything went the complete opposite
Yeah.
direction.
And I sold before COVID
Yeah.
too, and helped buy before COVID too. So, that market was different than COVID. That market was different than this market.
Mhm.
It just seems like every year it's different.
Yeah.
And history always repeats itself. It does.
Yeah.
Interest rates are going to go, and then interest rates are going to go,
Yeah.
2 point something, probably not in our lifetime, but
Yeah, probably not. But
yeah. So, but history always repeats itself. Up, down, ebbs and flows. So
yep. I agree.
So you got to know. Your agent should know what they are doing. So
yeah. Beautiful.
And no transaction fees.
We should get one of those red circles with a line through it that says transaction fees. No.
Yeah. Do not submit a transaction fee on this property.
Right. We say no to transaction fees. Just say no.
I should start making those signs and handing them out.
Right.
And putting them out with my for sale signs.
Just say no.
No transaction fees.
Right. Not transaction fee friendly. Just say no.
That'd be hilarious.
Alrighty. Well, on that note.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for tuning in today. And we will see you guys next week.